is on trial outside Hamburg, Germany, accused of being an accessory to the murder of thousands at a Nazi concentration camp.
In the shadows of the malevolent Nazi regime, a chilling chapter of history was etched by 8 notorious women whose names became synonymous with brutality and terror. Serving as guards in the SS concentration camps during World War II, these women exemplified the darkest depths of human cruelty. Each woman symbolizes a facet of the cruelty that pervaded the concentration camps, offering insight into the profound inhumanity of the Holocaust era. Join us as we delve into the horrifying legacies of these 8 infamous female SS guards. Number 1. Maria Mandel. Maria Mandel, born in 1912 in Münzkirchen, Austria, stands as one of the most notorious figures among the female SS guards of the Holocaust era. Her tenure as the highest-ranking woman at Auschwitz-Birkenau earned her the chilling moniker, the Beast of Auschwitz. Mandel's journey into infamy began with her early involvement in the SS, eventually leading to her appointment as Lagerführerin, or camp leader, of the Auschwitz II-Birkenau women's camp in 1942. Mandel's reign of terror at Auschwitz-Birkenau was characterized by her direct involvement in the selection process, where she determined the fate of thousands of prisoners. With an icy demeanor and an iron will, she often sentenced prisoners to immediate death in the gas chambers, sending countless women and children to their demise. Mandel exhibited a chilling detachment, showing no remorse or hesitation as she carried out her duties with ruthless efficiency. One of the most disturbing aspects of Mandel's tenure was her sadistic enjoyment of psychological torment. She oversaw the establishment of a women's orchestra at Auschwitz, forcing prisoners to play music as their fellow inmates were led to the gas chambers. Witnesses recalled her standing nearby, a smirk of satisfaction on her face, as the haunting melodies echoed through the camp. In late 1944, as the Allied forces advanced and the Nazi regime crumbled, Mandel was transferred to the Mühldorf subcamp of Dachau. However, her crimes caught up with her after the war. In August 1945, she was captured by Allied forces and extradited to Poland to stand trial for war crimes. During her trial, survivors recounted the horrors they endured at Mandel's hands. Witness testimonies painted a vivid picture of her brutal actions and her pivotal role in the mass murder of prisoners at Auschwitz-Birkenau. Mandel's defense of merely following orders fell on deaf ears as the tribunal found her guilty of crimes against humanity. In November 1947, Maria Mandel was executed by hanging for her atrocities, marking the end of her reign of terror. Her name remains etched in history as a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity and the horrors of the Holocaust. Number 2. Herta Oberhäuser. Herta Oberhäuser, born in 1911 in Germany, stands as a chilling example of the perversion of medical ethics during the Holocaust. Trained as a pediatrician, Oberhäuser joined the staff of Ravensbrück concentration camp in 1940, where she actively participated in heinous medical experiments conducted on prisoners. Among these experiments were the infamous sulfa drug trials, in which Oberhäuser deliberately inflicted wounds on inmates and infected them with bacteria to test the effectiveness of the drug. These procedures were conducted without any form of anesthesia, resulting in excruciating pain, permanent disfigurement, and death for many of the victims. Oberhäuser's sadistic actions extended beyond medical experimentation. She was also involved in forced sterilizations of women and the execution of prisoners deemed unfit for further experimentation. Her willingness to dehumanize and inflict suffering on vulnerable individuals demonstrated a profound moral bankruptcy. Following the end of World War II, Oberhäuser's past caught up with her. In 1946, she was arrested by Allied authorities and brought to trial during the doctor's trial at Nuremberg. Testimonies from survivors laid bare the extent of her atrocities, leading to her conviction for crimes against humanity. In 1947, Oberhäuser was sentenced to 20 years in prison for her role in the horrific medical experiments conducted at Ravensbrück. However, Oberhäuser's story did not end with her conviction. Despite her heinous crimes, she was released from prison early in 1952 due to purported good behavior. Shockingly, she resumed her medical career in Germany under a pseudonym, concealing her true identity from authorities and patients alike. It wasn't until 1956 that Oberheiser's past was publicly exposed, thanks to the diligent efforts of Nazi hunters and investigators. Her true identity was revealed, and she was once again arrested and charged with participation in war crimes. In 1958, Oberheiser was found guilty and sentenced to an additional 5 years in prison. The legacy of Herta Oberheiser serves as a stark reminder of the profound moral failures that occurred during the Holocaust. Her willingness to exploit her medical training for the purpose of inflicting suffering highlights the dangers of unchecked power and the erosion of ethical principles in times of crisis. Despite attempts to evade justice, Oberheiser ultimately faced the consequences of her actions, albeit insufficient to fully account for the magnitude of her crimes. Number 3. Dorothea Binz. Dorothea Binz, known as the Beast of Ravensbrück, was one of the most notorious female SS guards during the Holocaust, leaving a legacy of cruelty and terror that reverberates through history. Born in 1920 in Germany, Binz's early life was unremarkable until she joined the ranks of the SS and embarked on a path of sadistic brutality. Binz's tenure as an SS guard at Ravensbrück concentration camp was marked by relentless acts of violence and inhumanity. Rising swiftly through the ranks, she became a trainer at the camp's Guardian School, where she indoctrinated new SS guards into the culture of cruelty. Ascending to the position of deputy wardress, Binz wielded her newfound authority with an unpredictable and erratic temper, delighting in the power she held over the lives of the prisoners. Witnesses recounted chilling tales of Binz roaming the camp with a whip and pistol in hand, instilling fear among the inmates with her merciless beatings and arbitrary killings. She showed no hesitation in inflicting punishment, often subjecting prisoners to brutal beatings for minor offenses or no reason at all. Binz's reign of terror extended to daily inspections of the prisoners' barracks, where she unleashed her sadistic tendencies without remorse. One of the most disturbing aspects of Binz's cruelty was her penchant for psychological torture. She would orchestrate morning parades, forcing inmates to stand for hours in all weather conditions, using the opportunity to inflict further suffering through beatings and humiliation. Additionally, Binz took pleasure in setting her dog upon prisoners, reveling in their fear and suffering as her canine companion attacked with vicious ferocity. As the war neared its end and the horrors of Ravensbrück were exposed, Binz fled the camp in April 1945, evading capture momentarily. However, her freedom was short-lived, as British forces apprehended her in Hamburg shortly thereafter. Binz was subsequently put on trial at the first Ravensbrück trial in 1947, where survivor testimonies painted a damning picture of her sadistic abuses. Despite her attempts to downplay her role, the evidence against Binz was overwhelming. Found guilty of her crimes, she was sentenced to death by hanging on May 2, 1947, at the young age of 27. Binz's execution marked the end of a reign of terror that had claimed countless lives, yet her name lives on as a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity under the Nazi regime. Number 4. Juana Bormann. Juana Bormann, also known as Johanna Bormann, stands as a haunting figure in the annals of history, her name forever entwined with the horrors of the Holocaust. Born in 1893 in Birnbaum, Germany, Bormann's journey into infamy began when she joined the SS Auxiliary in 1939, a decision that would lead her down a path of unimaginable cruelty. During her time as a guard in various concentration camps, including Auschwitz and Bergen-Belsen, Bormann's actions were characterized by a chilling ruthlessness. One of her most infamous methods of torment involved the use of trained dogs, which she would unleash upon prisoners, often resulting in severe injuries or death. Witnesses recounted harrowing tales of Bormann's sadistic pleasure as she watched the chaos unfold, a grim spectacle that earned her the moniker, the woman with the dogs. Beyond her use of canine terror, Bormann was known for her direct involvement in the selection process for the gas chambers, With a mere gesture, she decided the fate of countless individuals, condemning them to a fate of unimaginable horror. Her cold detachment and seeming lack of empathy struck fear into the hearts of those imprisoned within the camps. Despite the end of the war and the liberation of the camps, Bormann's past would not be forgotten. In late 1945, British forces arrested her for war crimes, and she was subsequently placed on trial for her atrocities. The Belsen trial, as it came to be known, shed light on the appalling abuses committed by Bormann and other SS personnel. Survivors bravely recounted their horrific experiences, detailing Bormann's role in the brutal beatings and the sickening use of her dogs for torture. In the face of overwhelming evidence, Bormann was found guilty of war crimes and sentenced to death. On December 13, 1945, she met her fate at the gallows, marking the end of her reign of terror. However, the legacy of Juana Bormann serves as a chilling reminder of the depths of human cruelty. Her name remains etched in history alongside the countless lives she irreversibly harmed. Despite her execution, Bormann's story continued to resonate in the decades that followed. Her actions became emblematic of the atrocities committed under the Nazi regime, serving as a stark warning of the dangers of unchecked power and dehumanization. Number 5. Ilse Koch. Ilse Koch, known infamously as the Witch of Buchenwald, left a haunting mark on the annals of history with her gruesome acts of cruelty and sadism during the Holocaust. Born in Dresden, Germany in 1906, Koch's early life seemed unremarkable until she married Karl Otto Koch, who later became the commandant of Buchenwald concentration camp. Her marriage thrust her into a position of influence within the camp, where she reveled in a lifestyle of privilege while inflicting unimaginable suffering on its prisoners. Koch's sadistic tendencies knew no bounds. She took pleasure in tormenting inmates, subjecting them to physical and psychological torture on a whim. Among her most heinous acts was the alleged collection of lampshades, book covers, and other items made from the tattooed skin of murdered inmates. While some dispute the veracity of these claims, the mere suggestion of such horrors paints a chilling portrait of Koch's depravity. Furthermore, Koch played a central role in the daily operations of Buchenwald, overseeing the selection process for the gas chambers and administering brutal punishments to prisoners. Her penchant for brutality earned her the chilling moniker the Witch of Buchenwald, a name that struck fear into the hearts of those imprisoned within the camp. As World War II drew to a close and the Allied forces advanced, Koch's reign of terror came to an end. She was arrested by American forces in 1945 and charged with war crimes. During her trial, survivors recounted the horrors they endured at her hands, detailing her sadistic acts and the atrocities committed under her command. Despite the overwhelming evidence against her, Koch was acquitted of charges related to the lampshade allegations due to lack of conclusive proof. However, she was convicted of other war crimes and sentenced to life imprisonment. In 1947, Ilse Koch's husband, Karl Otto Koch, was executed for his role in the atrocities at Buchenwald. Meanwhile, Ilse languished in prison until 1951, when her sentence was commuted to 4 years. However, her freedom was short-lived, as she faced additional charges of incitement to murder. In 1951, Ilse Koch was retried and convicted once again, this time receiving a life sentence. She spent the remainder of her life behind bars until her death by suicide in 1967. Number 6. Alice Orlowski. Alice Orlowski, known as the Whip Mistress, was a prominent figure among the female SS guards during World War II, infamous for her ruthless actions within the concentration camps. Born in 1903 in Berlin, Germany, Orlowski began her career as an SS auxiliary in 1941, stationed initially at Ravensbrück concentration camp before being transferred to Auschwitz. Orlowski's role at Auschwitz was primarily focused on the selection process, where she determined the fate of arriving prisoners. With a simple gesture, she wielded the power to send individuals to the gas chambers or allow them into the camp for forced labor. Witnesses often recounted her cold detachment during these selections, viewing prisoners merely as objects rather than fellow human beings. However, it was Orlowski's merciless use of the whip that earned her the infamous moniker the Whip Mistress. She was frequently seen patrolling the camp with a whip in hand, ready to unleash it at the slightest provocation. Orlowski's unpredictable and vicious nature kept the prisoners in a perpetual state of fear, as she would brutally beat and lash out at them without hesitation. Her brutal reputation followed her, even after her transfer to Bergen-Belsen in late 1944. When British forces liberated the camp in April 1945, Orlowski was among those arrested for war crimes. During the subsequent trials, witnesses recounted the horrifying abuse and murders committed by Orlowski at Auschwitz and Bergen-Belsen. Despite her attempts to justify her actions as necessary for maintaining order, the court found her guilty of war crimes. On December 13, 1945, Alice Orlowski was executed for her crimes against humanity, marking the end of her reign of terror. Her story serves as a chilling reminder of the depths of inhumanity that can arise under the influence of a brutal regime. However, Orlowski's legacy extends beyond her personal fate. Her case raised significant ethical questions about the role of individuals in perpetrating atrocities and the importance of holding them accountable for their actions. The recounting of her deeds underscores the tragic consequences of unchecked power and dehumanization. Number 7. Elisabeth Volkenrath. Elisabeth Volkenrath, a name synonymous with horror and brutality, was a key figure among the female SS guards during the Holocaust. Born in 1919 in Silesia, Germany, Volkenrath led a seemingly unremarkable life before her immersion into the dark world of the Nazi regime. Initially working as a hairdresser, her trajectory changed drastically when she joined the SS and became an overseer at Ravensbrück concentration camp in 1941. It was here that Volkenrath's true nature began to manifest. Her tenure at Ravensbrück was marked by a blend of capricious cruelty and emotionless efficiency. She oversaw the sorting of new arrivals, a process that determined who would live and who would face immediate extermination. Volkenrath's position as a supervising wardress at Auschwitz-Birkenau further solidified her reputation as the executioner of Bergen-Belsen. Here, she wielded unimaginable power over the lives of prisoners, often selecting victims for the gas chambers with chilling indifference. Volkenrath's sadistic tendencies extended beyond mere selection processes. She was notorious for her daily acts of brutality, frequently subjecting prisoners to savage beatings and other forms of torture. Survivors of the camp recounted her arbitrary and merciless behavior, instilling fear and despair in those under her control. Her reign of terror was relentless, leaving a trail of suffering and death in her wake. As the war neared its end, Volkenrath's atrocities were brought to light when British troops liberated Bergen-Belsen in April 1945. Captured and put on trial during the Belsen trials later that year, Volkenrath faced testimonies that painted a damning picture of her crimes. Witnesses came forward to recount the horrors they endured at her hands, detailing the cold-blooded efficiency with which she executed her duties as an SS overseer. Despite her attempts to deflect blame by claiming she was merely following orders, the evidence against Volkenrath was overwhelming. In December 1945, she was convicted for her role in the atrocities and sentenced to death. Alongside her former colleagues, including Irma Grisi, she met her fate at the gallows, facing the ultimate consequence for her crimes against humanity. Number 8. Irma Grisi. Irma Grisi, often remembered as the hyena of Auschwitz, stands as one of the most notorious figures of the Holocaust. Born in 1923 to a troubled German family, Grisi's upbringing was marred by her father's abusive nature and fervent National Socialist beliefs. This environment laid the groundwork for her descent into depravity. At just 19 years old, Grisi joined the SS and began her journey into infamy. Grisi's tenure as an SS guard unfolded amidst the horrors of Ravensbrück and Auschwitz-Birkenau, where her sadistic nature flourished. Ascending to the position of SS Overseer, or Aufseherin, her cruelty knew no bounds. Grisi was known for her capricious and sadistic conduct, often subjecting prisoners to savage beatings based on ethnicity or personal whim. Reports suggest she derived perverse pleasure from the suffering she inflicted, with allegations of sexual relationships with SS officers, including the notorious Dr. Joseph Mengele. Equipped with heavy boots and a plated whip, Greasy patrolled the camps with a savage German shepherd by her side, a beastly companion emblematic of her reign of terror. She trained her dog to attack prisoners on command, adding another layer of fear and brutality to her infamy. As the war neared its end, Grease's ruthlessness persisted, even amidst the chaos of Bergen-Belsen. However, her reign of terror came to an end when British forces liberated the camp in 1945. Captured and put on trial during the Belsen trials later that year, Gracie faced testimonies detailing her unimaginable cruelty. Prisoners recounted her sadism, passion for inflicting pain, and utter lack of remorse. Despite her defense of merely following orders, the court found her guilty of crimes against humanity. On December 13, 1945, at just 22 years old, Irma Grese was executed for her atrocities. Grease's legacy serves as a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity. Her name remains synonymous with the brutal excesses of the Nazi regime, a horrifying testament to the ease with which ordinary individuals can be drawn into absolute evil. Though Grease's life ended at the gallows, her infamy lives on as a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for cruelty in the face of totalitarianism and hatred. Her name remains etched in history alongside the countless lives she tormented and extinguished, a haunting symbol of the darkest depths of human nature. Thanks for watching another episode. While you are still here, make sure to click the video on your screen for more quality content.